right, let me turn this music off. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Pamela, and you are watching Pam Entertainment TV, where we are about to go over a celebrity legal lawsuit document. And here we have Donnie McClurkin's. But before we do that, y'all make sure y'all hit that like button. And if you like what you see, subscribe. And once you subscribe, you'll be open to all of the different celebrity news, celebrity legal news that I have gone over on this channel. So make sure that you subscribe. And also, if you were here because you liked my movie and television reviews, please make sure you hit and subscribe to my second channel at PETV underscore reacts. That's where I'll be doing my movie and my television review and some of my reactions. I'll be doing reactions to other people's videos and things like that. And we'll have a funky good time over there. If I could get at least 200 of you all to go over there, I will be able to go live, and we'll be able to do that live over there as well. Y'all, we got Donnie McClurkin to go over, but before we go over Donnie McClurkin's tale, let's talk about Cardi B, because yesterday I was going to talk about her, but then we had what happened up in Minnesota. And so that kind of took over that. So it's not a whole lot. It was just enough for, it wasn't a whole lot of stuff on Cardi B, but just enough to say that I covered it. And so what do you say? You're saying, what's going on with Cardi B, Pam? Surely nothing can be going wrong with Cardi B. Well, Cardi B was defending her father. Now, apparently, all of this kicked off on X. And what happened is there was an X poster that had a rumor circulating that her father had been convicted of attempted SA in Nassau County in 1993 and served 5 years in prison, right? That was the rumor. That was the claim. And like I said, it came from a source, an account over on X that spread. And as people started looking in on it, and I guess people started checking the records down there in Nassau. And then, now I'm trying to think about it. What Nassau County? Are we talking about Nassau County in Florida? Nassau County? Because there's several Nassau counties. Are we talking about Nassau County in the Bahamas? Hold on, y'all. Let me, because once I hear something, Nassau County. Okay, so they're talking about in New York, Nassau County, New York. Because there's a Nassau County, Florida. There's a Nassau County, New York. Okay. We don't know which Nassau County, y'all. But anyway, she responded and she took the toast. Oh, let me look this up. All right. So she took to social media, and what interests me is the statement that she made. She says, my father has never been arrested in this country. As a Dominican immigrant, she argued he would have been deported immediately had he committed such a disgusting crime. She said he's never been arrested, and then in this country. Hey, Ernest. She said in this country. So that always raises my thing, because words matter. When people say stuff, words matter, because all people wanted to hear was he's never been arrested. And that's how they leave it. But she said in this country. So has he been arrested in another country? I don't know. I'm not saying that he is. I'm just talking about the wording that she used. And she went back and forth with people on Spaces in regards to it. And also they went back and forth with her at another point in time when she talked about robbing and thieving and all this other stuff, when she was a stripper. She would rob the folks, and she talked about robbing and jugging, and everybody. Like I said, it seems like when women do things that we know that are crime, we kind of poof them, um, because we like to look at women as these nurturers, these things. But sometimes some of us can be hell on wheels, just like men could be hell on wheels. For women, it's different. There's a lot of passive aggressiveness going on, with the stealing and the drugging and all of those different types of things, the putting sugar in your tank, or those passive aggressive types of things that are violent. And also, women do a lot of violence to young men, particularly underage men, and particularly women in a certain level of authority. This is why, because people are like, dog, we keep hearing about a lot of women, a lot of teachers uh, having essay things of them. No, they've always had it. What has always happened is when those women do those things, they sacrifice their jobs. They may go to court, and then the courts are very, very lenient on them, and then they move on to another space and time. And a lot of times I have seen that they'll move to another space, they'll move to another time, they'll get married. Now, this was back in the day when they didn't have, I guess, with now that you all have the uh, computer to be able to tell you all these things about who other people's employees were. All they had to do is move to a different state. So if you lived in Alabama, for instance, all you had to move is to move to Seattle, Oregon. You get married, move to Seattle, Oregon. Your degree is still there. And by the time anybody found any information or anything out on you, a lot of times people were taking women's word for things. So you go to Seattle and you'll teach over there. And by the time they figured out something had happened, they done already had you in the classroom for a certain amount of time. Not saying that anything, but now everything is a little bit more immediate. And the way the media and the information comes out, we get that information out much quicker. Oh, I imagine. But again, that's where I keep trying to explain. When you talk about someone, when women talk about these men that are out here doing stuff, we don't like to count out the fact that a lot of these men that treat a lot of these women this way, they have possibly been essayed not by a man per se, but by a woman. Because again, we've got to get out of this attitude that it's a rite of passage or a fantasy to be with your teacher or whoever that is in authority of you. Because I've known for teachers, because these are more women dominated fields, I've known teachers to be out of pocket. I've known counselors to be out of pocket. So we just got to get out of that, good, bad, or indifferent. People have got to be accountable for their actions, good, bad, or indifferent. And you don't have to fuss and cuss and beat up and fight, though even that might be a remedy. Uh no, you don't. No, you don't. And I'm not going to put this up here, Scravis, but no, you don't. That is not one of those situations where anybody, because you think just because it's a woman and just because socially it's accepted because men are supposed to be with women, you think it's okay. It is absolutely not. I'm sorry to hear what happened to you, but it's not a better or worse than. It is all worse. It is all bad. All right. So what we got y'all here for, I just wanted to kind of go over that information really quick. But we got you here because we were talking about Mr. We Fall Down, but We Get Up, Mr. Donnie McClurkin. And so let me be very clear. And just because you have experienced SA and it's by someone uh of your same sex, it does not automatically or that denounce you as being a homosexual. That means that you are a victim of SA. Period, point, and blank. All right, let me get to a couple of more things. Uh-oh. I don't mean to show that, y'all. I meant to edit that. Uh All right. Give me one moment. So here we are. We're going to be going over with this Donnie McClurkin lawsuit. And what is the lawsuit, you say? So I'm going to go over what NBC News has. I'm going to go over what NBC News has had, and then we're going to actually read the lawsuit itself. It's about 15 pages. So we're on par to be finished in about an hour and a half. So let me share my screen. All right. Here we have Grammy winning gospel singer and pastor accused of essaying a young man. Donnie McClurkin denied the allegations in the lawsuit, which was filed by a man who says he sought out the pastor after reading his book about overcoming the curse of homosexuality. So it looks like he did write. Looks like he's written a couple of books. Let me just, because I just Googled it. Let me just share this tab real quick. It looks like he's written a couple of books. Eternal Victim, Eternal Victor. What is this? I don't can't read what that says. And it looks like maybe this is a workbook or something. What is this? What is this? I don't know what that says. But anyway, he's written a couple of books that it looks like he has written in regards to this thing. So, oh, let me get you in. Let me get you in. Let me get you in. All right. Can you see? All right. We got Dani, one of my favorite collaborators, up. Dani, just introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Dani. I do it all. I changed my tagline to Dani does it all. Yeah, just follow me on YouTube if you want. I mean, you don't have to, but yeah.
All right. She's being modest. If you're not familiar, a lot of us that started on here, we were talking about it's been a few years now. We started off talking about the Jonathan Majors case. Dani had come into one of my lives one time, and I was like, "You need to go." She was like, "I'm from New York," and da 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 da. So you should go. I'll pay for your lunch. And Dani kept her word. She went and she got us all that information. And she has a background. She was a paralegal for a long time. She also did a show on CNN, if I can remember, and they were talking about all the legal issues that would come up during that time. So she's being modest. She has a good foot in all of this, and she partnered with me when we read the initial Tyler Perry lawsuit. So she has come in to kind of read and listen to this because this pastor is in her old stomping grounds somewhere up in their New York area. All right, so we're going to go over this article really quick. This is the young man. Let's see what his name is. Giuseppe. Carletto Giuseppe. And this was a picture taken of him in Orlando, Florida.
Sorry, my cat is acting up. If you didn't see it walk by twice already.
So Donnie McClurkin, a Grammy-winning a gospel singer and pastor, is accused of essaying a young man over several years and wrote an apology email declaring himself a quote dirty old man, according to the new lawsuit. Giuseppe Carletto says in the lawsuit he was struggling to reconcile his sexuality with his faith when he sought out McClurkin in 2003. So they're saying that the incidents that all of this happened was in 2003. Let me close this out. The lawsuit says that Carletto, who was 21 years old, went to McClurkin's church in Long Island, New York, after reading his autobiographical book, which described how God helped him, Kirk Franklin, Lord, Donnie
Freudian,
McClurkin.
Freudian slip.
Yeah, Donnie McClurkin helped him overcome the curse of homosexuality. Now, I will tell you, back then and back in the day, there was a really big push that a lot of things were in your mind, and if you got your mind right, it would overcome your mental illness, it would overcome your homosexuality, it'll overcome your perversions, it would overcome all those things. If you gave it everything to Jesus, everything would overcome all of those different things. Now, so there was a big push, particularly from the church. This is where we get the conversion therapy. Now, conversion therapy has gone on for a very long time, longer than 2003. But I just wanted to get you all into how people were thinking and everything like that. He was thinking that if I become a pastor and I get over church and I'm leading this flock of people, that I won't be struggling
Right.
with my homosexuality.
Mm-hmm.
At the church event, he talked about being essayed as a child, which resonated with him because that was a similar story, similar to his story. He said he was brought to meet with McClurkin, and after that, they took an immediate interest in him. So I just wanted to kind of set that information up uh, in regards to that. And let me pull up another thing too. Let me get this up so we can see it on the screen. So I wanted to share. I don't think we can see that. Let me change how I'm looking on here. All right. So here we've got Johnny McClurkin lawsuit. Now, Donnie McClurkin has written a statement in regards to that, and we're going to read his statement first, and then we're going to get into the lawsuit. So this is coming from his Instagram page, and I wanted to make sure that I copy that Instagram page so that you all can see it. And it's coming through his attorney, Gregory S. Lessie. He says, with all humility, faith, and deep respect for Christ and this global gospel music and ministry community, which has shaped my life, my calling, and my character, I address this letter. Many of you are aware of the profane allegations of SA and coercion that have been recently lodged against me. I want to state clearly and unequivocally that these allegations are contrived and untrue. I understand the weight of such false claims, especially in our community rooted in faith, trust, and the teachings of Jesus Christ. And as sexual violence in any form is a real and painful reality for many and not to be used frivolously. True survivors deserve to be heard, protected, and supported. At the same time, the truth matters, and the truth has not been told. And though I know many have already formed their opinions based on initial belief and controversy, as we are apt to do with something of this false nature, I ask that this community exercise patience and trust in God's timing for the truth to fully come to light. I have always sought to conduct myself with integrity, transparency, godly care, and responsibility in the fulfillment of my Christian life and duties. This accusation of salacious engagement or any misconduct that harmed, exploited, or took advantage of anyone and misused my position, leadership, or influence in any way in these false accusations is emphatically untrue. My love for and walk with Christ means everything to me and is deeply sensitive and sacred. I live to please Him, which is why it is essential that the facts be established carefully, responsibly, and fairly. Although I have not yet been served with the official legal complaint, I am proactively cooperating fully with the appropriate processes, and will vigorously defend to the fullest against this defamatory and baseless lawsuit. I am confident that when the truth is fully known, I will be vindicated. Please pray for the accuser as well. So seriously and sincerely, I thank everyone for their continued prayers, support, and faith. God bless you all. It's going to get better after a while. Sincerely in Christ, Donnie McClurkin.
Okay.
So,
Before you say anything, I'm just going to kind of veer off to the left a little bit. Not really. Maybe pull over into the shoulder. Okay. Let's be clear. Those of us over the age of 40, we've all known, and he's even said it himself. So this is not anything salacious or, defamatory or slanderous or libelous. He said himself he struggled with homosexuality. He was sexually assaulted as a child multiple times, and he has had homosexual relationships. He also said recently, hey, congratulations. I'm sorry. I got ADHD. Don't put those up on that thing.
I only did that one because I saw your name, but I'm not going to put the rest of them up.
He even said, I want to say it was Essence or Ebony several years ago, probably about 5 to 7 years ago. He interviewed, and the question came up as to would he ever get married, because he was in a heterosexual relationship. He has a son that looks like him. I do not remember or even know if it's a biological son with that woman he was with. I don't know. I don't follow him like that. I haven't really followed him since We Fall Down, But We Get Up. So you talking 20 plus years ago. Mm-hmm. So I don't follow his life, but I have seen over the course of the last 20 plus years, which is what this timeline is about, where he has been very clear in stating that he was homosexual, had homosexual relationships, like Pam said, got into the ministry seriously as an artist and pastor or whatever he is, to kind of pray the gay away, because a lot of this complaint is about that. And that's all well and fine. So that's I'm saying all that to say that statement is cool for now, but this is not now. Unlike, Diddy, unlike Tyler Perry, unlike what's this other one? Well, L.A. Reid is an old one too. But these more recent ones, we're talking 20 plus years ago, before YouTube, before social media, before wireless internet. We had dial-up back when Donnie McClurkin was popping.
Right.
Before the ability to Google photos, screenshots, before text messaging.
Before anybody thought about uploading that stuff.
Right. So to have that statement, obviously it's obligatory. You have to say something, right?
Right.
I just feel like it was tone deaf. I feel like obviously it was written not by him. But I feel like the verbiage in that is disingenuous at best, because it's not relating to that time in his life, which it's just a Google away. But like I said, that's up to y'all who are viewing if you want to do that deep dive. But at that time, he was gay. He was gay. Yes, he was in the ministry. Yes, he was singing. Yes, he had Grammy nominated, hits with that We Fall Down, But We Get Up album. I had the album. It was on repeat on my way to work every day. However, to try to frame something that happened 24 years ago.
23 years ago.
In the context of today, like I said, it's disingenuous and it's dishonest. Because if you look at the comments, now I don't know if these are real people, because I'm very cynical when it comes to social media engagement, especially because in my own 900th side hustle, I do social media for people. And I do know the tools that can be used to ramp up following, to ramp up engagement. So I don't know if these are real people. They could be, maybe 50-50. But the comments for me, not because I am, but for this moment, I'm not. Because as a person of faith, it's disappointing. I don't like to see people that are probably right now aren't doing the right thing. get derailed like this, because it is a little, it's kind of whack. But I mean, it is what it is.
Well, we also have to mention too that a lot of people are now emboldened because several states, particularly states like New York and California, have laws on the books where if you had been a victim of SA over a longer period of time than the statute of limitations for those things, you can file a civil lawsuit in regards to that. So I think what we're seeing, a lot of these folks are coming out because of that, those statutes that have been put on the books, that they can do that.
Right. And I mean, I'm sorry, I had to eat a Chico stick. I found it in my closet and I just couldn't resist it. But my point is, he
Let me
might
share
very
this real
well.
quick.
More than I've
Let me share this.
than I've had good. I
Oh, there
didn't
you
know how to have the relationship. I didn't know really what a woman wanted. I've messed up more than I've had good. My past relationships were a sprinkling of everything, men and women. I don't know how to do this. And because of that, when things get rough, I go back into my safe place, my music and my ministry. I want to lay down next to somebody that's going to be with me for the rest of my life. I really do. I miss the fact that I did not have the family unit that I could lay next to my spouse with my baby on my chest and be the quintessential dad that raises up a family like I saw in my dreams and I wanted in my heart. So never having a long-term relationship in my life and never being married, my things, I chalked that up. I'm gonna probably be alone for the rest of my life as far as a mate is concerned. Happiness is something that's relative. I've got joy. Joy is consistent. Happiness is based on what happens. But joy is a constant type of assurance that everything's gonna be okay.
All right. I'm sorry. I just had to show that because I
So
saw
that's exactly, Pam. So this is a TV1.
I didn't know how to.
A TV1 version of what he actually said to, I want to say it was Essence or Ebony, but he got deeper into it. I love that Nene Leaks. Like whatever.
I forget that I am sharing. Let me get back to this. Go ahead, so I can scroll.
But so he said that several times over the years. Clearly, this is a more recent interview, probably in the last 5 years. He's in his late 60s. He's closer to my mom's age, if not my mom's age. So, you know, he's been super relevant for about the same timeline as this supposedly happened. So, like I said, it's disappointing. The comment section was disappointing to me because for me, like I said, I don't want to see this man go down. I don't. I wanted to see Diddy go down. I kind of want to see L.A. Reid go down. I definitely want to see Tyler Perry go down. Not just for that, but just for the fact that he pollutes the black community. But that's a whole other conversation. I don't want to see Donnie McClurkin go down. I just don't. I don't. Because I truly do believe in my heart of hearts that right now in 2026, he's on the right track and probably has been for the last 10 years. But that's not what we're talking about. And I don't like that statement. Obviously, you're not going to admit guilt because you don't want to have to pay up or whatever it is going to result from this lawsuit. But I feel like the verbiage in that statement almost insinuates that he never told us he was gay. And he never told us he struggled with his sexuality. That, I don't know, like the Wizard of Oz, pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. Like, dude, we already know you were gay.
It seems, listen, it seems to be more churchy than anything to me. When I read that statement, this seems to try to quelch, because I don't know his status as a pastor, because I know in Kojic the pastors own the church. I don't know if it's a situation where they possibly will sit him down while all of this is going on. I don't know exactly what that is, but that was a statement to me that seems to want to kind of calm down the cackles of the folks in the church. And again, we're talking about 20 years. You've got people that, you've got old folks like me sitting up in there, but you also got younger folks that are sitting in there. And listen, some of these young folks don't know anything about Prince, so you know they're not going to know anything about what Donnie McClurkin did back 20 plus years
Right.
ago. So it seemed more to quell what's going on with the church, because those of us that are old enough to remember, and again, he has written several, he's written several books about it. He can't get out of that. He can't get out of his way on that one. He's written several
Mm-hmm.
books about this eternal victim to eternal victor. This was the initial book, and then he had this book talking. I can't really read what that says, but then again, he's had 3 something books talking about his ascension, as far as how he believes that he has overcome the things that he has overcome. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he's not going to be able to get away from this, but I think he just needed to get a statement out there to kind of quelch down
The questions, the disappointment, the
yes,
frustration,
all of
or
that.
whatever, cacophony of sounds and that might be coming from every direction.
Yeah, because
But I did notice in the comment a lot of verified account comments, and they came from either wannabe celebrities and influencers or actual celebrity and influencers. So I think that that's part of the problem for me, because it's more about proximity than it is about accountability.
Right.
And I would just as soon as not say anything than to, or do it in his DMs, than to comment on the comment thread, just to be seen. Oh, this person said. A lot of them are people that aren't really famous, like that Lexi Television and all these other people that probably just want to be, known to be adjacent to him or any Christian influencer celebrity.
Oh yeah, because it's gonna come. You're gonna get the especially the Christian blog things like Larry,
Yeah.
whatever his name is. I can't remember what his last name is. You know that they're all on top of it, and they've had stories. I remember, is it Larry? I can't remember what Larry's last name is, but he had his own little story that came out a few years ago. But I remember prior to that, like official, like when Kelly Price went missing, couldn't find Kelly Price, and there was somebody else in the church. It was somebody else in the church that was going through. What is the guy? Okay, so have Jamal Bryant over that church. The former pastor, the pastor that Jamal Bryant took over, he had a lot of stuff going on in regards to all of this, this type of stuff. So let's go.
Not Eddie Long, right? I don't know. Okay, so Jamal Bryant. I'm sorry, I got a do-rag on because I don't like the hat rubbing on my forehead. So Jamal Bryant took over for Eddie Long.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, I couldn't figure out. So it all makes sense now. All the controversy with the dress, and that church is.
Yes.
That's not a church. That's a social club. I remember when I lived in Atlanta. I lived in Atlanta for 8 years, and my first time seeing Eddie Long ever was on television. And when I saw that tight muscle shirt, I instantly got turned off, and I never went to that church. And then, of course, my discernment is always on point. Turns out that there was many reasons why I felt off about him, other than the muscle shirts with no muscles. But so that explains it all, Pam. I don't consider that church a church. It's more like a car show, fashion show, singles bar, and a popularity contest. But
and that, because again, that is that thing when you start doing this prosperity doctrines, when you start talking about money, and again, we all have to understand that in churches they have that 503c
501c3. It's a nonprofit. Yeah, I have.
So you get into their
money.
Yeah, they're trying to get all this tax-free money, and they do a lot of stuff and have all these things. So you'll have people in your congregation that is living paycheck to paycheck, but you're asking folks to give you money
for a private jet.
For a private jet, a la Creflo Dollar.
Yeah, or Rolls Royce, a la remember oh boy, he I think he was from the Caribbean, but he settled in New York. Oh man, my parents took us to that church one time too, because my dad was a little off. But what was his name? He was like, "There's no black and white. There's only green." Oh, what was his name?
Reverend Ike.
Not Reverend Ike. Reverend Ike. Reverend Ike. We went to that church a few times because it was in Harlem.
Oh, no, you didn't go, Reverend Ike.
He was the Rolls Royce guy. He was always trying to get money for his Rolls Royce.
All right, let's get into this. Let's see where we are on time because I think it's 15 pages. I think we can kind of knock this out. Again, I am not going to read all of it. I just want to read the
The
juicier
actual
stuff.
complaint. We don't have to do the cause of action because it just repeats
It
everything in the
just repeats
complaint.
and repeats and repeats.
Yeah.
So what we have here, we have this was filed in New York with the county clerk on January 2nd, 2026 at 9:54. We have an index reference number here. Remember, I told y'all that it's very important that when we look at these reports, we want to see when it was filed and when they have a case number or index number or whatever they want to call it. Because if they don't have that, if somebody's getting ready to file it, or it might not even be the right thing. And we want to make sure that we have that. All right. So we have Giuseppe Carletto. He's the plaintiff and he is suing Donnie McClurkin, and he's suing under the Victims of Gender Motivation Violence Protection Law. And it says here, plaintiff designates New York County as the place of trial. Venue is based on the location in which a substantial part of the events or omissions giving rise to plaintiff claims occurred. To the above named defendant. Now, this is the first time I've read one of these court things, and it's structured this way. But we will continue. You are hereby summoned to answer the complaint in this action and to serve a copy of your answer, or if the complaint is not served with the summons, and this summons to serve a notice of appearance on the plaintiff's attorneys within 20 days after service of this summons. So this is just basically telling you to get your butt to court. We just go
carry your ass into that courtroom.
Right. So the plaintiff Giuseppe Carletto complaining of defendant Donald A. McClurkin Jr. by his attorney, whoever this is, because they've got a lot of names and I don't want to butcher them at all. Here is the nature of the action. This is an action brought pursuant to the Victims of Gender Motivated Violence Protection Law, New York City Administrative Code 10-1101-10-1107. This complaint is based on the SAR of that plaintiff suffered at the hands of the defendant, Donald A. McClurkin, throughout the United States, including in the state and city of New York. At this time, relevant, you got plaintiff Giuseppe. He is the plaintiff. He is the one suing. And then we have Donnie McClurkin, who is the defendant. That at all times relevant, the defendant McClurkin was and is a famous gospel artist and preacher. Here we go. Let's get to the facts coming to all. Let me see if you all got anything in the comments before I move on. They want to cash in? Yeah.
I mean, they always do. That's always obviously that's the,
civil
punitive
loss,
damage,
yeah,
and the compensatory damage. I mean, obviously, but and I say the same thing about women. We always have this conversation. Oh, you blame the victim, yada yada yada. I don't give a damn. I just don't understand why he waited this long. And then he clearly filed it like New Year's Day or New Year's Eve because it's dated the 2nd of January. So, which is weird to me because I'm like, I don't know the significance behind why, considering for the last maybe decade, they've been going after every celebrity for this type of stuff. Why he waited till now for this, but I mean,
we like I said, we'll never know why, right, the whys and all of that. It's always just interesting. I think it's partly money grab. I think it's partly that they want the story out there. I think it's partly they know that people's reputations at a certain point come to all-time high, and you see these people running around doing all kinds of stuff. So I just think it's a combination of all of those different things. It's just my opinion. It's just a combination, and they feel like they will get more for this. And also too, these attorneys are probably working, what is the phrase when they do the work for free until they get get a pay
contingency.
Yeah, okay. So
they don't get paid unless you win.
Mm-hmm. So technically, what is it that with that kind of setup? What do you have to lose? All right.
Yeah.
Acts common to all the causes of action that on or about August 3rd, 2003, when plaintiff Carletto was 21 years old, he first met defendant McClurkin as at defendant's church in Long Island, New York, after reading defendant's book entitled Eternal Victim, Eternal Victor, which centered on being delivered from homosexuality. At that time, Defendant's Church, Perfecting Faith Church, was holding outdoor services referred to as churches without walls, where individuals would share testimonies regarding their own deliverance from homosexuality, prostitution, drugs, and other circumstances. Because plaintiff was struggling with the acceptance of his sexuality in light of his religious beliefs, he sought out defendant McClurkin for guidance. That after the service on or about August 3rd, 2003, plaintiff was brought to meet defendant McClurkin, who prayed with him and assured him that defendant would help deliver him from homosexuality. Them big claims, aren't they? Shortly thereafter, one of the defendant's ministers, who confessed to plaintiff that he too was struggling with his homosexuality, began persistently contacting plaintiff, showing up to plaintiff's home unannounced, and even making essay advances toward plaintiff. Due to this harassment, plaintiff, who had only attended defendant's church for about 3 weeks at this point, began missing church services and considered leaving altogether. Shortly thereafter, plaintiff received a call directly from defendant McClurkin, where defendant reassured that this harassing minister was being dealt with and that this was a test from God, to which plaintiff passed.
Okay. I don't remember in the Bible God testing anybody with gay people trying to attack them, but okay.
Plaintiff and defendant McClurkin then developed a mentor-mentee relationship. Now, when I read that, I'm going to stop here. We're going to be on 14. See, when I read that, and also before I continue, shout out to Document Tings. Document Ting has a YouTube page, and Document Tings has an X profile. And this is where we've received these documents. I don't want to go any further without letting him know, telling him thank you for doing all of the legwork and getting these documents. So please go out and subscribe to his channel. Also, make sure that you all are subscribing to Dani's channel as well.
Can you put the link to Document Tings in the chat?
I will. Let me find them, child.
And I don't even know what my channel name address is anymore because I changed the name. I changed the name, and I don't know what the link is. Hold on, let me see. But yeah. Let me know, Pam, if you want me to pick up with any of the reading too, because it's a lot.
All right, let me see.
It's a lot. Let me find out what is okay, this is my channel name.
Yeah, he does. He usually posts, I'll paste it. This is his X account. He usually posts the documents on his X account. So if you're interested in do that, he has a very good listing about Meg the Stallion and all the stuff that's going on with her. So make sure y'all go over there. Let me get down to where we are. Got so many tabs open. All right, let me close all of this. See, I have to remove the comments so that I won't see them. And I have a timer going off when I'm supposed to go look and see when I'm supposed to go back over there.
See, all right, AD warriors over here.
I know I gotta keep focused. That's why I turn this way. Comments are over here. Eventually, defendant offered plaintiff the position of executive personal assistant, which plaintiff accepted. Now, this is where, ladies and gentlemen, that I really want us to understand and talk about discernment. And I also want us to talk about and understand the okie doke or the setup. So far that what we've read is you were moved to go to this church because of the claims that Donnie McClurkin said that he had, that he can help you pray the gay away. All right. So you go to the church, you're there for 3 weeks. Then you have a minister come to you and is basically harassing you, basically trying to get you to come to places with him or do whatever, coming to your home unannounced. All of these things are happening. Now, the discernment that I want you all, and it is critical thinking. You always have to ask the question, Why and what for? Why are you coming to me? Because you know that I'm struggling with this homosexuality. You know this because this is what I've come. So why are you coming to me? Why are you coming to me, talking to me, trying to talk about my homosexuality? That's a level of grooming, right?
Mm-hmm.
I also want us to have the discernment of even if you didn't know if Donnie McClurkin was involved with it. In my head, and maybe because I've told Dani several times, I am on that thing of being insane, and if there was 10 steps to insanity, I'm on step 6. And I'm always running around, looking around and listening, looking at people to see why they're doing what they're doing. And if somebody is coming to me and they know I am struggling with something, and they're always wanting to have that conversation of what I am struggling with, I am having an issue with that person. And my introverted tail, I would have cut off the church. I would have cut off the person. And
Just
the next
don't
time
go back.
And I would never go back.
Mm-hmm.
But to hear how he says that all of a sudden Donnie McClurkin calls him in regards to that, in my mind, that was the setup. They were trying to figure out
his weak points, like where they can breach.
Exactly, because that's a level, that is, ladies and gentlemen, a level of grooming.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you're ever persistent with that. And even when you're talking about with grooming, because people will talk about when you're grooming girls, they always present a woman before the person who is actually wanting to do the act. Hence, you had Ghislaine Maxwell. She was the one that was out here talking to the girls and getting the girls comfortable and all of this other stuff before they were able to meet with Epstein and all the people that they have. So I want us to have this discernment. If we're going to read this, I want us to have that discernment to understand that there are people out here. I don't care if they're in the church. I don't care if they're police officers. I don't care if they're teachers. I don't care. I've said this before and I will say it again. Perverse minds hide behind titles and positions of power.
Where they have access. That's the key. Exactly. I mean, the county that I live in, at least once a quarter, they do a whole sting operation, and almost half of the people that they get caught up in these sex trafficking and prostitution and everything else are teachers, coaches, ministers, law enforcement. It's all these jobs that have unlimited trust and access to children or vulnerable people.
Right. All right. Okay, so he accepted the role to be his assistant. He probably needed some money. I ain't gonna even hold him. But anyway, I'm just saying these are the things that you have to, because again, y'all, I don't care if y'all call it the Holy Ghost. I don't care if you call it your fight or flight. I don't care if you call it your intuition. Whatever that is that gets your spidey senses, whatever that is that gets the tingling,
up the back of your neck,
believe in it, trust in it. If it's telling you to run like Forrest Gump. Just run. And now, again, I keep telling y'all, I'm on a level of insanity and I'm on step 6. I'm going to be screaming while I'm running. But run away. Run away.
Right.
You don't have to try to stand and fight everything. Sometimes the most courageous thing to do is to run away.
Is to leave, right.
During plaintiff's time as defendant McClurkin's personal assistant, they engaged in, quote, pray the gay away, which are spiritual sessions during which defendant McClurkin groped plaintiff's genitals, all without his consent.
Yeah, and I'm trying, because I feel like he's probably about my age based on the math. I didn't do the exact math, but if he was 21, 23 years ago, he's about 44, 45. I'm older than that. But my point is, we're in the same peer group. So that being said, I'm trying to empathize and I'm trying to put myself, because at that age, I was deep in the church, Pentecostal, not Kojic. Because Kojic is on a whole nother level of delusion.
Yeah. And also, too, you have to factor in the fact that people that experience trauma, usually they could be physically 21, but they still are in that trauma age of whenever they experience that trauma, 13, 14, 5, 6, 7, 8,
Right.
whatever that is.
It's an arrested development. We
Right.
use that word a lot, but it encompasses all that.
Right.
Your ability to critically think, your ability to he was 21 in 2003. So that would make him about 46 now.
Right.
Right. So yeah, we're very close in age actually. So I'm saying that I'm trying to put myself back in 2003. I got married in 2003. So
and but you also have
I
to
feel
factor
like
all
I
those
would
things.
have left. I would have, first of all, I would have never come back after that first incident where
I
he
was
was
just going
stuck
to
in the
say, but
church.
again, I have to also, I have to factor in, and knowing how I know how people process and stuff like that. You could be 21 years old, and I'm not trying to infantilize anybody, but if you've had a traumatic event, 9 times out of 10, you're still thinking in the lens of that traumatic event.
That
You may have
child.
come out of it. And so I'm still thinking he probably didn't have enough critical thinking to understand now. He understands it now. Probably didn't have the critical thinking to think that this was a setup. Because this was.
Or
Go ahead.
empathetically speaking, he might have resorted back into that child and how that child reacted to actually being SA'd. So like basically flashback, like you're basically going back to when it happened to you as a kid and what you did then, which was nothing, right? Probably didn't tell anybody, probably didn't fight back. You just dealt with it until the person finally just left you alone and moved on to the next victim.
When you aged out, as
right, you got too old and ugly, or big and ugly, like we call it. I got that awkward stage where they weren't liking you like that anymore, so they moved on to a more vulnerable child. So maybe he just, fight, flight, or what's the other one? Fight, flight, or freeze.
Flight.
He froze.
Fight, flight, or freeze.
He froze.
He was 21 at the time when all of this supposedly happened. So he's in his 40s, as she said.
Like 46, probably going on 47. I don't know, but he's up there.
He's up there.
Yeah.
Plaintiff struggled to process these incidents of SA as defendant was both his mentor and his employer, making it difficult for him to speak out about the abuse he had suffered. And also, too, he's setting it up like it's almost a doggone therapy. Trying to elicit that if I just spontaneously come up to you and grab your junk, and as long as you don't have that reaction of a thing, then you've prayed it away.
Which is just insanity to me. I've always found that to be just weird. And
during this time, defendant McClurkin would set up scenarios with plaintiff and other men, much like with the aforementioned minister, framing them as tests from God. So now we've got a clear understanding that this was, I told y'all it was a setup. It felt like a setup when he said, framing them as tests from God to see how plaintiff would react. One such test came when plaintiffs and defendants were staying at the Atlantis Resort in Nassau, Bahamas. So now you've got
pause for 1 second. This is giving me that because remember when we read the Tyler Perry complaint, it almost sounds like a playbook because it was almost the same type of situation where the person works for you, something really nasty and weird happens. They don't take that as a hint and leave. They keep coming back. They're going on trips with you. Only this is way more graphic because I'm just trigger warning for anybody that can't see or hear graphic stuff or may have had an experience like this and it might rehash some kind of trauma. Upcoming in the next 2 lines is some really graphic detail as to what happened to this guy when he got to the Bahamas. Really nasty graphic. So brace yourselves. You got how many seconds to it's pretty bad because I had to stop reading it and I texted Pam the screenshot and I was like, hold up. I had to take a break. And I don't have a weak stomach, but that kind of, especially in the context of this person, Donnie McClurkin, I'm like, oh.
Shit. All right.
Okay,
So
so
one such test
Freddie.
came when plaintiff and defendant were staying at the Atlantis Resort in Nassau, Bahamas. And also, too, when you have these things, they pile up. And when you have the situation, and this is where I need for us to have this discernment, because you can look at it with Diddy, you can look at it with Tyler Perry, you can look at it with any of the ones that we have read so far. When they take you out of the country,
There's no good, and it seems like the Bahamas is a recurring theme.
well, it's because that
So
is a level of control, particularly if they paid for you to get out of this country.
well, yeah,
And
obviously.
so, there is a level of almost like, you gonna let me do this. If not, you're not gonna get home, because I'm paying for you to be here. And this is another level of discernment for you all to understand. If you've got this stuff going on, please, please, please think, I don't need for nothing to happen to me when I'm out of the country. I
Right.
would decline so quickly to go out of the country, because at least at home you can come in, you can close your doors, you can lock. But when you're in a totally another country, they could drug you and you be asleep. They done took your passport. You wake up and they gone.
And not only that, the law enforcement element of it. Because
Right.
even though, yeah, our country is as corrupt as it comes, it's way worse in those countries over there because of the poverty and the incentive to be corrupt in order to make a living. Basically, you have to be corrupt in order to
Right.
not be, not have dirt floors and that type of thing.
Don't think that you're going out of these countries and thinking you're going to get the same level of law enforcement that you have here, because
And
I know
I'll
a
use
lot of
a
people.
very good example of that. And this is a very good example of why you have to be careful. That Natalie Holloway,
Right.
that was the whitest possible person in America in one of the richest Caribbean countries in the world. And they still to this day have not found that girl or proven that that guy, Vandersloot or whatever, killed her. So anytime they couldn't find her and get this guy to justice on her, they won't do anything for us.
And again, that's a perfect example, going back to when you talk about how they hide behind power, because Vandersloot's father was a judge, his
Yeah.
mother worked in the government. The two guys that were supposedly arrested with him, their folks were officers or something. They were big in the
Mm-hmm.
community and stuff like that. Child, they done took, she was shark food that
Oh
first
yeah.
night.
And they
They
never
took her
even
out.
tried. He only got arrested when he killed somebody else in South
Correct.
America. But
Correct.
they still didn't get him for her.
Uh-uh.
So
They
that just goes to show you have to be very careful when getting flued out to these foreign countries, whether you're gay or straight, because
Yeah, you think about, I think about, here's the countries that I think about. I think about when y'all love to fly over to Dubai. I don't know why you all would go to anybody that looks like me. I don't know why y'all would be running and flying out to go to Dubai when they still are practicing slavery with all those folks from the Sudan. But their laws are different. I mean, you've got a lady over there now that's in jail. She might be out, but they gave her a year sentence because she screamed at her taxi driver.
yeah, it's rough.
And so you've got to know the laws. And even like when you talk about they talk about, I think about that guy that boxer that went over to his home country of Nigeria, and they were in a car accident, and how the services didn't get there. There was no ambulance, there was no nothing.
Right.
Now, one of the people that passed away, I don't think that they were going to be able to save him, because it looked like, this was off.
Yeah.
But the other person, I don't know if they could have, because of the fact that, they don't have these services. And a lot of people talk about when they go to certain these countries, the police want you to pay them to investigate your case.
That's
So
what happened
it's
to my uncle. Not to investigate, but they wouldn't let him cross into somewhere. They were on their way to an event, he and my aunt, and he had to pay them.
yeah. So you've got all of these different things. And so again, before y'all are running around here trying to get flued out to all of these countries, you really got to figure out and who is trying to fly you out. Because my dad has always told me, anytime you go out on a date or anything like that, you have money to be able to pay for your food, or you have money to be able to pay for a taxi. That was back in the day. Pay
Right.
for a taxi or a ride to be
To
able to
get
get
back
home.
home. Yeah.
Because that was during the time we had pay phones, and I always had to keep a dime or a
Keep a
quarter, never
quarter.
knew how
Yeah.
much. And so you always had that. You're not going to be beholden. So if anything happens or anything make you feel funny, you can get on that phone and you can call. But anyway, let's continue because we've done the trigger warnings. We've given you all some good information. So one such time came when plaintiff and defendant were staying at the Atlantis Resort in Nassau, Bahamas, where defendant invited a male model to plaintiff's hotel room in an attempt to coerce plaintiff into sexual activity. When plaintiff reported to defendant that he was able to resist the male model's advances, defendant praised him, laid his hand on plaintiff, and told him that he had passed another test. Let me continue.
Now, just for some context, in 2003, Donnie McClurkin was in his 40s. So basically my age.
Playing games.
Excuse my French, but the best way to put it, basically mind fucking this dude.
Exactly.
You're a grown man. And I always say it because the average grandparent age is about 45. You're a grandpa-aged man trying to convince this guy that these are tests. Tests? I would expect that from a peer of his, but a man old enough to be his dad? Listen.
In 2007, plaintiff traveled, and then here's the thing. I'm not sure, Donnie, I know that they have certain therapies and things like that, but Donnie McClurkin does not give me that he has some kind of counseling degree.
Not at that time, definitely not.
Not to be doing.
All he had was a Grammy.
This is not, this is not, you can't be somebody's pastor and then think that you're going to also be his counselor and to be able to employ counseling techniques or any type of thing, because this don't sound like any counseling technique that I've heard of. And to do this, and you're passing tests. What is the end goal of these tests that you have to pass?
And let's say he didn't pass the test. So then what's the next step after that? After he slips on the dick, what happens? You get more intensive prayer, or Donnie undoes it by doing something to you too, to reverse what the other person did? Like, what is the protocol here? Like, I don't.
It makes no sense because there is none. In 2007, plaintiff traveled with defendant. Now, remember, he still is a personal assistant. Traveled with defendant McClurkin and his family to California for a business trip. Defendant also brought his, at the time, girlfriend. His beard. They're in defendant McClurkin's hotel room. Defendant instructed plaintiff to remove defendant's shoes.
Why? That's what personal assistants do? I've never done that. And I worked for one of the worst people ever when I worked at Martha Stewart. I've never the worst I had to do was lay out their lunch. And that's when I knew I had to leave. Because I'm like, this ain't 1960. But
defendant McClurkin then removed his pants, exposed himself to plaintiff, grabbed him, pulled him onto the bed, and forcibly kissed and groped the plaintiff's body. Plaintiff cried and pleaded for defendant McClurkin to stop, but defendant McClurkin continued touching him in an attempt to arouse him. Defendant McClurkin then forcefully grabbed plaintiff's penis and performed oral sex on him without the plaintiff's consent. Plaintiff begged defendant McClurkin to stop while crying, but defendant continued assaulting him. Defendant McClurkin then forcibly grabbed plaintiff's member and inserted it into the defendant's backside, thereby forcing plaintiff to engage in anal sex with defendant until defendant ejaculated.
Okay, so this part I'm confused about. Let's just go with a heterosexual standpoint, Pam, because we have the same parts. So let's just say this was me or you in this exact scenario. Well, no, not the exact scenario unless we strapped on. Okay, let's say we peg dudes, right? We're girls that peg dudes.
Go ahead.
We're peggers. How the logistics of it just sounds crazy to me. Not saying it didn't happen, but what I'm saying is he should have been able to stop. Am I making sense?
Yes.
I don't know if you want to reread it because it's really
No,
like it's hard to
it
read.
is. It requires in my head a lot of strength from Donnie McClurkin to
Unless he
he
had
then
him backed up against a wall where he could not move, but even at that
I was,
point, you can still kind of like wiggle your way out or kind of stop the actual action.
and particularly if you're from behind, that head is exposed.
Yeah, I would have hit him in the head. I don't know. I would have did anything
And
besides
also,
thrusting.
yeah, and also too, what inevitably happens as well is, and I have talked with victims who have been essayed for women. A lot of times, what happens is you've been struggling and you've been struggling and you've been struggling so hard that your body just goes, ugh. I don't know if that's the same thing that happens with men.
That
That you're,
doesn't make sense though, because I mean
I
we're
just
we're
don't.
heterosexual women. If a man does not want to continue to have sex with you, he's going to go soft. That's the
Which is my
first thing
point.
that's going to happen. They're not going to be able to sustain an erection. I mean, if we're going to just be frank about it.
Exactly,
So
we gotta
even
be.
if, or even if not necessarily that they don't want to, but maybe they're not in the mood or any number of things could be happening at that moment that they're like, yo, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? So they definitely would not continue until they ejaculated, is my point. Right, Ernest, but read the sentence and how it happened, though. So that's why me and Pam are saying he had to have, and it didn't say that here. It does say it in a future incident, but he had to have either had him really. I don't know how big this guy is in relation to Donnie McClurkin, but neither one of them are muscular. But he had to have had him really tightly backed up against the wall in order for this guy to not be able to remove himself and
There had
not
to
get
be
to a point of climax is my
there
point.
had to be huge levels of strength. For what I just read, there had to be, because if he had said that Donnie was, all I see is that doggone Janet Jackson meme. If Donnie, if Donnie
Well,
was the one who was inserting, that is a different situation because I could see him doing that
yeah,
and
because you can
pushing
pin
in.
him down. You can pin
Yeah,
him down. You can choke him. You can do whatever to keep him stationary.
but again, that like I said, I don't know. I don't even know. We're not even getting any type of situation in regards to if there was any types of drugs being utilized. He didn't
Right.
mention of anything like that. Because
Right.
if
So if
he
nobody was weakened by drugs, alcohol, nobody significantly larger than the other person or stronger than the other person. The way this particular incident reads, it just sounds weird. Like it just doesn't sound logistically.
it's difficult to visualize what he's talking about. To say that he was the one that did the bending instead of being the one that got bended.
When the bending.
Yeah. It's difficult to see. And like I said, we're not trying to tell y'all that it didn't or didn't happen.
Oh no,
We're
it
just trying to
happened. I'm just
figure
trying to
out
figure out why
how
he
it
let it keep going. Because I'd have been like, yo, I'm not letting this get to the point where I'm actually
yeah.
finishing the job.
When plaintiff confronted defendant McClurkin afterward, defendant pretended to have no recollection of the assault and blamed his behavior on side effects of his medication. Defendant McClurkin further manipulated plaintiff, blaming him for the incident and convincing him that he was the sole culpable party. As a result, plaintiff experienced intense shame and confusion. And so, like I said, I am thinking in my head that, we talk about his medication. I'm thinking, was there any medication involved that he did? Did he eat something? Did he drink something from the defendant? He didn't make any steps on that. But I do understand the manipulative tactic of McClurkin positioning himself to be the bended, because if anything comes back, but you bent me over.
Right, because that's
the manipulation of it all. I mean, I can understand. I don't understand. I'm just looking at from what I'm saying. He is, any other time, the test that McClurkin and them were doing on him, he was not reciprocating. So it seems like this particular time, at this particular effort, there was a test done, and he got like this, and so McClurkin did whatever he needed to do to try to get back on it. I don't know. It just if all I'm saying is this: if what we're reading is how things happen, McClurkin is a very manipulative MFer. Defendant McClurkin also engaged in numerous other incidents of groping and forcible touching while plaintiff was working with him at his church. Defendant would secretly grope plaintiff before going to preach, inducing plaintiff to cry, and then using plaintiff's tears to encourage other congregants to openly express emotions.
So this dude's crying because he literally got AR'd, and he's using this guy crying because he got AR'd as a prompt to an altar call, basically. When the dude's not crying because he's in the spirit, he's crying because he's traumatized and probably suicidal at that point.
During this period, in and about 2007, defendant McClurkin took plaintiff on another business trip to Atlantic City, New Jersey, for a speaking engagement. Thereat, defendant claimed the hotel had mistakenly booked only one room and eventually persuaded plaintiff to stay in the same room as him. Once again, I am going to tell you all, if they show you who they are, please believe them the first time. Stop giving people who are prone to manipulate, degrade, and hurt you opportunities to do so. There is no shame for you leaving this job and going working at McDonald's. There's no shame for you trying to find another personal assistance job and work through there. There is no reason that you continue to put yourself in these types of situations, because it only hurts you.
Yeah, and then look at the math on this now. This is 4 years late. Wait, what is this, 2007? 4 years later, we still doing this.
Yeah. Now, mind you, I am not telling you that all of these things were happening repeatedly, because I'm quite sure, just like someone who is abusing you physically, they're gonna whoop your tail on Monday, feel bad about it on Tuesday. There'll be a honeymoon period from Wednesday till 2 or 3 weeks later, and then the cycle starts back all over again. So I am quite sure that
they're pretty widely spaced out. So that might have been why he stayed, because it was like a couple of years in between each incident. But I literally feel like that first Bahamas incident should have sealed the deal.
Yeah, and you're in church. People tell you to forgive, but once you forgive somebody, you're not supposed to forget. You're not supposed to allow them to continue to do the same, because if they're doing the same behaviors over and over and you've forgiven them, they're not walking and offering in forgiveness. But let's continue. Because this should have been, the defendant claimed the hotel had mistakenly booked only one room. Who made the booking? Because usually don't personal assistants make the bookings?
All the travel arrangements, yeah.
Yeah, so somebody called and said that they only booked the same room. Those are not coinky dinkies.
Yeah,
those
because my thing, if you're his personal assistant, like you said, why aren't you doing the travel? Because that's why I'm a travel aficionado, because I spent 20 years doing it for C-level executives. That you do that. You call the hotels, you book the flights, you set up the restaurants, the meetings, you do all that. So I'm like, how did he miss that part of the process?
Therein, while plaintiff slept on the couch, he awoke to defendant McClurkin performing fellatio on him, all without plaintiff's consent. On another occasion, in or about 2007, because if I had access to that company card or the church card, we would have found me a room, even if it was at another hotel.
Would you say that again? Found what?
I said, as his assistant, this would, for me, it wouldn't have happened because I would have taken that card and I would have
Yeah.
booked me another room,
Take
or
that
even if
P
it was
card
at
and
another
book another
hotel.
room so fast, or a
Yeah.
flight back home.
Yeah, because these are the things that they want to put you in. Like I said, anyway, Darren, he did this another occasion on and about 2007, and like I said, we have had at least 3 or 4 incidents between 2003 and 2007. Defendant McClurkin forced himself on plaintiff in a hotel room in Long Island, New York, under circumstances similar to those in the previous California incident. In or another occasion on about 2008, we're going into 5 years, defendant McClurkin forced himself on plaintiff at defendant's home in Rockville Center, New York. Masturbated in front of plaintiff and forced plaintiff to watch. Here we're getting in the 6th year, 2008. Defendant McClurkin drove plaintiff to a park in Rockville Center, New York, under the pretense of going grocery shopping. He was forced to do the oral. Here we go in 2008 again. At a hotel of the Upper East Side of Manhattan. Forced himself kissing plaintiff and groping his genital. Plaintiff tried to leave, but the door was locked. Defendant McClurkin performed the oral on plaintiff and then forced plaintiff into the vein. Let's continue. Throughout this period, plaintiff attempted to quit on multiple occasions. Defendant, however, denied plaintiff's request, further coercing him to stay by telling plaintiff that his deliverance and purpose were tied to the defendant.
How do you tell me I can't quit? The only way you're going to keep me from quitting is if you literally can legitimately threaten my life or the life of my family. You're not about to tell me I can't quit. I quit. Goodbye. Stop calling me. Block. I'm calling the police.
Andre says, gospel music has had that stigma for a long time. The gospel music workshops, the Stellar Awards. You know, I'll get into that later. Queen Bee himself, James Cleveland. Yep, it's not worth the job, Ernest says.
It's not. Oh, no, that was a joke about James Cleveland.
Yeah, we talked about old Eddie.
Long, schlong.
Oh, yeah. I was just going to say, because I know there was a rumor about what they would call him, Eddie.
And you know, when he died, he looked like he had that thing. So,
because, you know, people were trying to say that it was cancer, but a lot of other people were saying,
well, you know, that thing leads to cancer. That's usually what kills the people, some kind of oma.
Yeah, these pastors and singers are not going to get away with this stuff if they don't get found out down here. God is keeping track. Yep, agreed. Yeah, you know, and here's the thing too. The differences with all of this stuff, and like Dani had talked about at the top of the show, a lot of stuff, people were not putting all of this stuff online. Because there was a level of, you know, we didn't have all of this good internet. You know, we had AOL dial-up and people weren't taking pictures. You know, it was too much bandwidth and too much RAM and stuff to hold pictures and stuff online and do stuff like that, like they did for a long time. So you're able to get away, and also you're able to get away with the shame of it all, because in particular, if you're in a church setting. You know, it's you know, you're able to get away and use the tenets and the instructions of what the church is telling you to kind of keep people in this state of oh, well, if you only have, you're not doing, because again, it was always about you're supposed to have this level of mental fortitude that if you weren't praying hard enough, if you weren't doing, this is why these things are happening to you. It's you know, it's your fault. And then further coercing him to stay by telling the plaintiff that Donnie McClurkin's deliverance and purpose was tied to him. Basically, what he's saying, if you want to talk about layman's term, if you go out and you say anything, I'm ruined. So I'm going to use these words like, see, I'm going to use these deliverance, and your purpose and our divine purpose is tied to you. This is how they keep
Right.
people coerced in all of these things. And
But
again,
the thing is, it's like, who would believe that? Am I making sense? He's a personal assistant. He's not a deacon. He's not a bishop. He's not anybody in ministry that anybody's looking to for any motivation or inspiration. Or so why would he believe that? Am I making sense?
you're
Why would
making
you
sense.
believe that quitting that job is going to
Because it's
disappoint
just as
the
simple.
flock?
It's because you have this level of faith. And again, if this is the same man that was groping you before you go out into the out to where he's before he goes out to preach, and you over there crying, and then he knows why you're crying, and he turns around and tells you, here he is, he done caught the Holy Ghost. Or you see how the word is moving folks in here, y'all. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's a whole level, this it's a whole level of mind fuck that I don't have privy in my head, but I know that there's a level that exists because
Yeah,
we
clearly, because
yeah.
I can't even conceptualize it.
And that's probably why certain people, again, you'll have certain people that get preyed upon, and you have the same people in the same a family being raised by the same parent, and the other child won't get preyed upon. And it's
Mm-hmm.
not a matter of this person was weaker or anything like that. People who want their victims, they will learn you. They will learn you. They will learn
Mm-hmm.
your family dynamics and where you fit in those family
Mm-hmm.
dynamics. This is why I've said so many times to women, stop using your children for social currency. Stop sitting up here telling your kids to go hug so and so and so when they don't want to hug so and so and so, because of the fact that it may not be Aunt Mabel getting upset because your daughter is not hugging, but it's Uncle Charlie who's sitting over
Right.
there in the corner watching how you are chastising this baby for not hugging Aunt Mabel. And then he's gonna ask that baby for a hug, and then tell that child, "Well, I'm gonna tell your mama, she gonna get you like she gonna talk to you like you did when you didn't want
Mm-hmm.
to hug Aunt Mabel." And this is how these things start, because again, they are learning you and your family, and they're learning your children to see which child would be susceptible.
Acceptable. Yeah.
All right. So defendant McClurkin compared plaintiff to the biblical figures of Elijah and Elisha to further manipulate him and convince him that he needed the defendant. Plaintiff also confided in church staff members about defendant McClurkin's misconduct and abuse, including, they calling names, Renee Mentor Carr, Shavetta Green, and Terrell Middleton, regarding defendant's misconduct, but no actions was taken. Oops. Sucks to be them in a lawsuit. In
Yes.
2008, plaintiff ultimately secured employment with a Christian broadcasting network in New York and successfully resigned his position from defendant McClurkin. However, because defendant McClurkin was a gospel artist, plaintiff continued to encounter him throughout his new employment. That's gotta suck.
Now here we go, almost 10 years later.
In April 2012, plaintiff began working for an airline. During training in Orlando, Florida, defendant discovered plaintiff's hotel location through one of plaintiff's friends and appeared uninvited at plaintiff's room.
Now this is weird. That whole thing is because here we go, almost a decade later, mind you. That's one thing I can say about these types. They play the long game. Because I'm like, at what point do you just give up and find a new victim? But this part didn't make sense to me at all. Because I'm like, if you're training
Plaintiff
at
began
work,
working for an airline.
I wonder if
During
he worked for
training
my
in
husband's
Orlando,
airline.
Florida, defendant discovered plaintiff's hotel location through one of plaintiff's friends and appeared uninvited at plaintiff's hotel room.
Yeah, that makes no sense because how would he know where your hotel room is?
Well, apparently, the plaintiff told a friend, and Donnie McClurkin was talking to this friend
It
and was
just
able to
so
get the.
happened the world is that small.
I doubt it. I doubt it. I am pretty sure. This is just me. I have no thing. I am pretty sure that they still have in certain circles, you may fall out with this person, but you are still in contact with other people who are in this
Yeah.
circle, and McClurkin may have had a conversation with this person, and he was like, oh, he's down in Orlando. Because again, you remember, he changed job from the Christian broadcast and he started working for the airline. He's like, oh, he's in Orlando. And he told me, because I bet you that friend was supposed to be the person that go down to the hotel room to see him. It's
just weird. That part kind of, yeah. But
defendant McClurkin begged plaintiff to allow him, stating that they needed to talk. Plaintiff not wanting to make a scene, given defendant celebrity status and public recognition. And that's when you make a scene. You make the biggest scene. Honey, the way I would have screamed and ran into the wall.
Right. Why are you still protecting this man? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
His celebrity status and public recognition, and he already knows that he can manipulate you. Reluctantly agreed to let defendant inside his room. He said defendant McClurkin begged plaintiff to have relations with him one last time, but plaintiff refused. Later, while plaintiff slept, he awoke to defendant McClurkin self-pleasing himself while also touching and groping. And see, this is where I don't understand. Why is he still in your room? Why are you falling asleep with this man still in your room?
I literally was just about to say that. Like, are you freaking kidding me?
They're in plaintiff.
Snap. He does work for my husband's airline. But anyway, carry on.
Therein, plaintiff resisted defendant McClurkin's advances, but defendant forced himself on top of plaintiff and began performing relations with him, ignoring plaintiff with people verbal. Please stop. Therein, plaintiff cried as defendant McClurkin proceeded to argue. In the following months, defendant McClurkin persistently pressured plaintiff to live with him in California. After this, around Thanksgiving or Christmas of 2013, while plaintiff was living in Boston, Massachusetts, defendant McClurkin showed up outside the gate at the airport with two of plaintiff's friends and refused to leave until plaintiff agreed to go out with them.
Yeah.
Thereafter, plaintiff hesitantly accepted and was ultimately
coerced. So 10 years later now, 2013, everybody.
And then you're going to,
he might have a problem.
Yeah, there is an issue and there's a problem. Here you go. And because you don't have one incident or two incidents and you let them go 10 years. You are talking about since 2003. So far, we have read at least 8 incidents between 2003 and 2013 of the same stuff. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. Why are you expecting a different result?
Right.
And also, side note, people, let me be very clear about something. If you've got friends and then your friends, and I know at some point, at some time, you have made some kind of statement. You may not have said the exact things, but you have made a certain statement of, I'll play with that dude. I don't like that dude or whatever. If those said friends then show up to your job with old dude, they were never your friends. They were in on the okie doke.
And that's why I said this last section starting in 2012 is going to probably be a little problematic.
In or about June 13th, defendant McClurkin persuaded plaintiff to rejoin his church in New York. June 26, 2013, McClurkin then convinced plaintiff to accompany him a trip to Niagara Falls, where defendant forced himself on plaintiff and SA'd him in defendant's room. This time, plaintiff was able to push defendant off. Having grown more confident in his identity, he no longer subscribing to defendant's doctrine of deliverance. After this incident in Niagara Falls, defendant McClurkin sent plaintiff an email apologizing for assaulting him that evening. And here we go.
This is crazy. Yeah,
we've got
the email
from Donnie McClurkin, and he's flagged it red. I guess Giuseppe did that. This is June 28, 2013 at 11:36 a.m. Now, see, now you're getting that physical. Now you're afraid, in my opinion, as this person, as the defendant. Now you're afraid that he might, because he's resisted you. You no longer have that hold on him. He's resisted you. Now you're scared that he might say something to you. So you're going to show him this love. I'm going to give you an apology.
Now,
sorry.
what is the date on this? That
This
letter?
June
Oh,
28th.
2013. Okay, so the 10-year mark, basically.
My apology. The first thing I want to do is apologize again to you. I know I apologize for my wrong attitude from Wednesday, but I want to apologize for all of my behavior that has been wrong and put you in a wrong place. I
Oh,
am the
place.
actual epitome of a desperate, dirty old man, pawning and groping a young man who is just looking for a friendship and close platonic relationship with someone. He has want he wants to look to for help, guidance and spirituality, manipulation. I was trying to get to a realm of sexuality that wasn't right and wasn't right for you or me, in quotations, or me for that matter. I feel so foul, so stupid. I'm old enough to be your father, and I want to be something else to you. You don't have the desire for me, and I shouldn't have it for you. I forced myself on you, groping on you, and when I think about it, you never really touched me like that at all. Just wanted to sleep together and hug occasionally.
So,
I am
but you see how he plant that? If that guy ain't never said that. So you're gonna throw that in there just so you know you wanted to just spoon dry,
mm-hmm.
but it went a little too far.
It just went a little too far. We just got a little heated.
Yeah, just a little too far.
Just wanted to sleep together and hug occasionally. I am really embarrassed how I am and how I acted. You are far too important to be treated like that for me. Now, mind you, you're so important. This has been going on for 10 years, but I digress.
Yeah.
Or anyone. I am not helping you in any way by doing this, and I'm only making a fool out of myself being so desperate. This reminds me of the way, we saw the text and stuff like that from Tyler Perry, how he was being all, oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, I do this, and if you would just give in to me, we wouldn't have these
We wouldn't have
problems.
had this problem, right?
I have no one, and I feel it more than ever. But I was horribly wrong trying to force you into something that you were consistently saying no to, and I'm too old to be like this. I won't be this way to you again. You didn't come back for this. My loneliness is mine. And remember, we heard him say that on that
Mm-hmm.
TV1 interview.
Mm-hmm. That
Uh,
was 2021, I think.
My loneliness is mine to deal with. My desire for you is not right in the way that I am feeling and handling it. I will be a friend to you and pastor if you allow me, but I won't be this broken old man so desperate for you that I violate my purpose in your life and become this. I love you and want you to be who you're supposed to be. I will work on me. I hate being lonely and alone, but I have to go through it and not like this. Was there any type of stuff going out about Donnie McClurkin in 2013? Let's move on for here. See you later this week or next.
No, the hell you won't ever.
Yeah.
Um, I told you that throughout the entire from the time he became popular to date, well, not to date, but I would say till like maybe 2021 when he did that TV1 interview. There's always been, I remember, because Wi-Fi and all that really got popular probably around 2007, 2008. And like I was telling you yesterday, I spent a lot of time on Media Takeout back then. And I remember reading some really, really deeply graphic and disturbing stuff about him back then.
Gotcha.
Not this guy. It was some other guy that reported to Media Takeout engagement. He basically was a power bottom. And it was very graphic in nature in terms of the things that were said during the act and all that type of stuff. And this is 2007, no, it was definitely 2008, 2009, because I had already had my youngest daughter at that point. Because I had just gotten back to work. That's what I remember. And it was really bad stuff. I'm sure it's still out there in the ether, because Media Takeout is still a thing, right?
Yeah, it says Donnie McClurkin. I don't know. This is the archives. Gospel singer Don McClurkin accused of grooming and abusing the young man. I don't know if this is the same. When does this
No,
story come
that's from
out?
3 days ago, but I'm talking to like 15 years ago. Not 15 years. This was, yeah, because my daughter's 17. So this was about 16 years ago. Um,
Well, that's all they've got. You know I'm on their site.
oh yeah, McClurkin. Let me see, 2009 maybe this was. But yeah, it was really nasty. I'll find it. But I'm saying all that again to say that this has been going on for a long time in terms of the graphic nature of the types of stuff he was into, the different people coming out and, dropping dime on it. Um,
I don't know if he can file it because under New York, because I think that was an issue that they had with Cassie, that the
yeah, you
statute of
can't.
limitations was up, but he's able to file this under that
Civil.
victim, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
civilly under that law. I don't know if he'll be able to file a criminal report now, but he's doing this under that act so he can file civilly. In November 15, when plaintiff was experiencing mental health struggles, he returned to McClurkin seeking guidance. Defendant McClurkin engaged in essay against plaintiff, taking advantage of plaintiff's vulnerability and current fragile mental state. Defendant McClurkin action constitutes a violation of New York Penal Law 132 130.2, 130.35, 130.52, 130.55, and or 130.65. And I hate when they do that and don't tell me what they are. That defendant McClurkin intentionally and for no legitimate purpose forced SI upon plaintiff without his consent, herein for the purpose of degrading and or abusing plaintiff, and for the purpose of gratifying defendant McClurkin's sexual desires. Defendant McClurkin committed the criminal acts the criminal essay described herein against plaintiff due to an animus against plaintiff's gender and or a sexual orientation. That as a result of the subject's incident, plaintiff has sustained injury, emotional distress, physical pain, emotional pain and suffering, and the loss of enjoyment, and claims compensatory and punitive damages therein. The amount of damages sought herein exceeds the jurisdictional limits of all other courts, which would otherwise have jurisdiction. And
Yeah,
then
because
it
that's
goes on for the
75,000 and up, right?
yeah. Then it goes on the cause of action, and the first one is violation of the Victims of Gender Motivated Violence Act, and they'll just go back over all the stuff that he talked about before. And the second cause of action is SA, and they just go back over everything that they went up before. The third cause of action is SB, battery. They go back over all the things that go up. They are requesting a jury trial. We will read the prayer for relief. Wherefore, plaintiff Giuseppe Carletto demands judgment against defendant Donald A. McClurkin Jr. on the first, second, and third causes of action as follows: awarding compensatory damages in an amount to be proved at trial, but in any event, in an amount that exceeds the jurisdictional limits of all lower courts, which would otherwise have jurisdiction to the extent permitted by law. That was an awkwardly
Long sentence.
yes. Awarding punitive damages to the extent permitted by law, awarding costs and fees of this action, including attorney fees to the extent permitted by law, awarding prejudgment interest to the extent permitted by law, and awarding such other and further relief as the court may deem just and proper. And they dated this January 2nd,
Yeah, like
2026.
Happy New Year.
And then there's attorney verification. We're not going to read none of that. And there we go. We've got
That's
to
the
the
end of
end.
the document. But
We fall down.
but we get up.
'Cause a saint is just a sinner
Who
who
fell?
fell down
And what'd he do?
and got up.
Child, you better sing that in the courtroom. Because
So,
he's going to have to get his behind back up after this. Listen, I don't know.
oh, that's what I was looking at.
Yeah, the whole thing is just a little oddball. But it appears that his employer that he's been there about 15 years. So
Okay.
he's already aged out of his permanent lifetime benefit. So maybe he wants to travel the world. Because at the 10-year mark, you get permanent lifetime benefits with that said airline. I texted you where he's at. You know me, I find everyone.
Yes, and there's nothing wrong with that.
I find everyone. As soon as I saw Orlando, I was like, and the hotel, because they just built their own hotel in 2016. So I know the hotels in that area when they do the trainings. So anyway, long story short, check your text messages. But that's it, ain't it?
Wow. Good gosh. Well, I like to read these things because for those of us, while we're in a level of stable mindship, if we are to get into these situations, I like to leave us with a teachable moment about discernment and thinking things through and not get caught up in certain things. And the one thing I would tell you all, please stop getting caught up in celebrity. Celebrity is just an occupation. These people have characters and they possibly have predilections. When they show you who they are, you need to believe them. When they show you who they are, you need to believe them.
Even when they show you who they pretend to be.
Yes. Stop letting things slide just because they are celebrities.
Right.
Or just because they have a position of power somewhere.
Or stop using your critical thinking and common sense skills just because they're celebrities.
Correct. And if they've done it once,
they'll do it again.
They will do it again, as we see. You're talking over, and like I said, I truly don't believe that this was like everyday occurrence, but I do believe it was enough, because that's how manipulators are. They will do whatever they're going to do. They'll pull back. They'll do all of these other things to make you think that they're not going to do these things. They lull you in a sense
and they'll find other distractions.
Right.
I mean, case in point. This is more for guys than girls. That ex-boyfriend that resurfaces every few years. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like, damn, you still on this 20 some odd years later? That type of thing. So it's like they'll find people and things to occupy their time in the interim, but then when they have a break, they're back on you again.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So that's what it seems like to me, because this was a full 10-year ordeal.
Right.
Or they're significant gaps.
I could get back, I could go back to that. Oh, I could figure
right. You're always the fail safe.
Yeah.
Whenever whatever they're doing falls through. Oh,
and ladies, you get confused.
Because Pam is always, yeah.
You get confused and thinking, oh, they're just in love. They just didn't get over me. No. You're the sucker. You're
the sucker that they're gonna lick every time, because they know that you're always available to some extent. Even if you're with someone, they know that you still have a little flame for them, and you're gonna always let them in to some extent. Whether it be entertaining text messages or just straight up giving them the booty. I mean, whatever. They know that they're going to get some kind of attention to you until they find another project.
So we're looking at the fact that according to what they're saying, Donnie McClurkin's net worth is $5 million.
And that's not a lot.
So
and remember, that's assets, investments, business ventures, probably a little bit of cash. It's not cash in the bank, so you have to keep that in mind too.
And he probably will. There probably will be a sit down. You remember how I'm being serious. It's the same thing with Shannon Sharp. He did all of that bolstering and then ended up sitting down and gave all of his NFL money worth what he played in NFL to that woman. And then she got online and said, I retired. She's no longer an OnlyFans.
No, wait, correction. he gave her all his Cat Williams interview money. Because according to him, he made more money on that Cat Williams interview than he did his entire NFL career.
I know.
He gave her $1 million for every year she was alive.
So, but that was all that he made in his NFL. He probably still has his Cat William money, but I'm just saying, if you look at that, he played all those many years to then wait to now, and then he messed around and gave it to a 23-year-old who is now retired herself and her family and everything else off the money that you have that you sat for 15 years and earned. She got it from you because of the fact that you're silly, you're stupid. Just stupid
and immature. Because at the end of the day, race aside, her career aside, what do you have in common with somebody 30 years younger than you?
There was nothing to be in common. All you wanted.
And then she wasn't even attractive. And this is not about just because she was white or she was 23.
It was
really
very
was
much
not attractive. She just
it
really
was very
was
much
attractive.
about that because she was white. She didn't have to be attractive because she was
that
white.
Too. But if it was one of us, we gotta have the titties, the booties, the lips, the hair, the nails. I'm like,
so all right, people.
Well,
let me see if y'all got any more comments. Because if not, we're doing good. We're under the 2-hour mark, like I would have liked.
We did good.
Yeah, we did good. So we talked about 2 subjects. We talked about Cardi B and her father, and she was shutting down the rumors in regards to that. Also with Cardi B, she's got something going on with this guy that she's dating, Stefan Dix or whatever his name. There is some kind of a conflict or something about a chef who has accused him of SA or groping or something to that. I don't want to go and quote anything like that, but I don't see like there's enough information in regards to that for me to kind of comment on. I've just watched other people on the blogs. It seems like there is some type of maybe some criminal case going on. But we do know that Cardi B sent a text to this woman, and this woman answered the text saying that she needed to talk to her victim advocate if she wanted to get some information or anything like that. And that's the last thing that I have seen in regards to that. So when we get to that, but the only thing that I would say about that, one of the things, in the issues of watching the Nicki Minaj's and to watching the Cardi B's and stuff like that, it's always interesting to me to see these, and not to say that they don't exist, but it's always interesting to see these types of women and the types of men that they hang around.
Yeah.
And then they want you to only pay attention to their outer beauty, their woman, I'm a mother, and I'm pretty.
But you're doing trifling stuff. You're
doing a whole lot of trifling things. And it keeps coming back. Coming back. And people have been excusing these types of behaviors because, again, the celebrity, because of then how you're looking, and then what the images that you're trying to present to the public doesn't balance out, in my opinion, about what people are saying and what you're doing. Because even when I covered that case when the lady who said that she had hit her or whatever back during the pandemic days, and I covered that particular trial last year. You're on trial for being violent, and then you turn around and do a press
conference and throw the pin at that guy,
throw the pin at somebody, showing people that you have a propensity. You have a propensity for it. It's now on tape to show that you have a propensity for it, and then you want to cover it like respect women. You need to respect women.
Yeah.
So no,
it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
And so you'll probably see her crashing out on Spaces or wherever it is she's gonna crash out again. If anything, her and Nicki Minaj, in my opinion, are parallel like that. They want to protect this curated image, and they'll crash out. If it ain't Nicki crashing out on Queen Radio, or it's Cardi B crashing out on Spaces or IG Live.
Mm-hmm.
All right, people. We do this every week. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this video if you care. Dani, thank you so much for joining me. And we going over this and you putting your insight in.
Anytime.
All right.
Of
Y'all, please tell a
course.
friend, tell a kin, tell a coworker, tell that heifer that you can't stand that I'm over here making these videos. And as always, people, bye-bye.
Bye.